any opposition, because the mind was not created to lead you. It was created to serve you. So anytime that you hear the mind turn around, it's like an authority figure or someone in the army giving their subject an instruction. All it should be is yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. When the mind turns around and says, I'm not doing that. I'm not going up there. I'm not saying that. I'm not giving that. I'm not going here. There is something out of order. There is a breach in command. And any place where there is chaos, there is a lack of order. Because God created laws for there to be order. That's why when Christ came in the earth, he said, I only do what I see my Father do. I only say what my Father says. If my Father didn't say it, I'm not going to tell you. He's creating order in the atmosphere. How can two walk together unless they agree? That's why the Father, the Son, or how the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit can be one. They call them the Trinity, but they're all one because they're in agreement. And then when the Holy Spirit comes on the scene, he says, what is the Holy Spirit going to say? He's just going to testify of what Christ did when he was on the earth. So they're all walking together in cadence and in unison. That represents order, where we were made just like God. We were made just like them. In us, he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Who is us? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We were made just like him in his image, the spirit, the mind, and the body. Every time that we wake up in the morning, we should be in order. The spirit, the mind, and the body should all be on one accord. If there is any breach in command, where the Spirit says we need to get up at 5 in the morning because we need to get in our word, because I have to be at work at 8 o'clock. But I understand that I must give him the first fruits of my day. So when I wake up, my spirit says, Don, you need to get up and pray at 5. You need to get your word in at 6, and then you need to get prepared for your day at 7. If I wake up at 5 and I look at my alarm clock, which most of us do, and it says snooze as loud as day. Snooze, 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 snooze. You then have the opportunity to hit the snooze button or to get up. There is a war that is taking place between your spirit and your mind, because the Spirit gave the command last night. He said you have to get up at 5 o'clock, and your spirit set the alarm clock so that you would do it. When you wake up and you see that it says 5, your body says, no, we're not doing that today. Your body's not even supposed to be speaking, because your body is supposed to be under subjection to your mind. Your mind is supposed to be under subjection to your spirit, and whatever your spirit says goes. There is supposed to be no talk back, no feedback. If there is feedback, there is chaos. And you can measure the level of chaos in your life by the measure of voice that you hear every time you tell it to do something. That's why we're in a season of fasting and a season of buffeting the body. That's why Paul said, I beat this body up daily. I buffet it daily. I bring it under subjection. Why? Because I cannot afford for any area of breaching of command in my life, because it's not going to, it's going to satisfy me in the moment to get the extra hour of sleep. But when I look at it in the long term, I'm going to be late to work. And then if I'm late to work, I'm going to be disciplined for being late. And if I'm disciplined for being late, there's 1 tardy, then 2 tardies, then 3 tardies. And then I go into the office, and now I'm getting fired. And now I have to think about why I'm going to provide for my children and for my wife. I'm going to have to think about my car note and my house note. I didn't think about that for 1 extra hour of sleep. See, the flesh don't tell you that, because it's all about comfort in the moment. But I'm not looking at one small decision that's going to now chase me down the line for the rest of my day. And then it's going to go out of that day into my week, out of that week into my month, out of that month into my year, out of that year into my decades, out of them decades into my children, into my generations. I'm not paying attention to none of that. And I'm not thinking about any of that based on one decision. One decision not to buffet this flesh. One decision not to move out of a place of lust. One decision not to think twice before I spend that money or buy that on credit. I'm not thinking that down the line, decades down the line, my children are going to be in debt because I could not control my spending habits. I'm not thinking about that. That's why Paul said, look, it's important that you buffet. It's important that you bring under subjection your flesh, because the flesh reaps corruption. But when you sow into the spirit, you release or receive life more abundantly.